Hi, I'm Brad, owner and one of the contributors to Treadmill-Ratings-Reviews. I'm with Rachel today, my videographer. Thank you very much, Miss Rachel. We are at Horizon Fitness, which is the home of corporate headquarters in Madison, Wisconsin, home to Horizon, Vision Products, Matrix. They're all underneath that Johnson Fitness umbrella. So today we're just showing a few features. The particular machine that I will be on right now is going to be this Adventure 5. Okay, and there's a couple of models in the Adventure series. We've already on our site. You're more than welcome to look at the review on the T101, and then we step up to a little bit nicer series, the Adventure, which has the Johnson drive system, and it's available in a 3 as well as a 5. We've already done the review on the 3, so now we're going to look at the 5. And the main difference is, just to point out between the two, you know, this is a roughly $1,000 machine here, just under. So great value for what you're paying for, and this is about $300 more. And for the extra $300, I personally think it's worth it. And it all depends on what you're planning to do, right? So if you're a runner and you need that longer stride length, you're looking at a 55-inch deck versus a 60-inch deck. And we'll look at some more of the differences as we proceed. But both are folding, and of course the advantages of folding is, well, one, if you just need to vacuum underneath, it works really well. Also, in moving this machine around, because it is folding, you've got these nice wheels, so you could easily, you know, roll it around from one room to another. That's something I don't think we've pointed out, but there's a set of wheels here and then up at the front. So as far as transporting from one room to another, or perhaps rolling it out in the center of the den, hooking up your Passport Live, watching it on your big screen, and then moving it back over behind the sofa and folding it up. So really a lot of flexibility with this machine. Now, one of the things that Rachel pointed out on an earlier video that I hadn't thought about, and by the way, look at that. It's called Featherlight Folding. It's fantastic. I love it. Great job, guys, on the engineering. So if you're like me, I have a house full of kids. Unfortunately, my wife talked me into getting a small dog. We have lots of activity in our home. Last thing you want is this deck coming down and just smashing someone's toe or causing an injury. So this is a really big safety feature that the engineers at Horizon built into this product. All right, so we'll just talk about the deck for a second. This particular machine does have the fiber material for the deck, multi-density fiber, and I like the functionality of that. I'm just going to lay down this spec sheet. Okay, and multi-density fiber, it basically will absorb the impact. And of course, if you look here, we're calling that a variable response cushioning. I was actually reading it upside down, so it took me a second. Variable response cushioning. And what variable that response cushioning means, I'm a visual person, and so it works well for me to just sort of look at my tennis shoe backwards here. We have more cushioning at the front of this machine, similar to the back of my shoe, less cushioning in the center, which is what I need, and then the least amount of cushioning up at the front. And the treadmill is the same way. The most cushioning is up here, and then as I progress off back, I don't need it in my transitional, and then all the way to the back where I'm coming off right there, pushing off, I need that stability for the kickoff. So if you are planning to do some jogging and some running, it's probably not quite as important on doing the walking, but particularly, you can see that deck actually moving. And I was doing that manually. I'm pushing. I wasn't actually using the motor for that. Okay, this does have the Johnson drive system, and just a point about motors, guys. So if you're looking to purchase a treadmill, which obviously you are, and you do what I did when I was looking for one, I pull out the spec sheet on brand A and brand B, and I say, oh, this one has a 2.5 horsepower motor. This one has a 3 horsepower motor. Apparently the 3 horsepower must be better than the 2.5, right? That's the mentality that I had. Not necessarily, and particularly with the Johnson drive, that's an inaccurate statement. Johnson's one of the few companies that is vertically integrated. That means they own their own factory. They only build treadmills for Johnson, which includes Vision, Horizon, which is what we're viewing today, and of course Matrix, which is the commercial line, which you may have at your gym or fitness center or hotel. And so we have that commercial technology that's brought all the way down to the residential line. So the Johnson drive, all of the components are manufactured in the same factory. They're not, outsourcing the motors or the circuitry board or anything like that. So everything does work together nicely as a complete system. The advantage for you and for myself is you get this really quick response from the motor. So if I press it, I want to go faster, I want to go slower, it happens quickly. You don't end up with this jerking, right? So you don't see an inconsistency in the speed of the belt as you're going back and forth, which is really important for someone who is practicing for a 5K or a small sprint or something like that. Back to the horsepower requirement, Johnson Motors actually turns slower than anyone else out there. They use much larger magnets. It's a lifetime warranty, which the engineers say, hey, our stuff's going to hold up, right? We're not worried about it. So that's how they can offer that lifetime. Some of the specs on the competition that you may be looking at or considering a different type of treadmill, some of their specs may read, hey, we have 2 fans that keep the motor cool. Don't really fall for that, guys. I've been in manufacturing now since 1997, and so I really have a decent eye for what works and what doesn't. I'm able to sort of cut through the fluff, if you will, and know what's really a good deal and not. Only thing that means is if it has 2 fans keeping the motor cool, the motor's running too hot to begin with. Johnson drive system doesn't have any any fans whatsoever to cool the motor because the motor runs with much less friction. It runs a lot quieter, which is a benefit for you if you don't like to hear all that background noise of the motor and the fans running, which is really annoying to me. So bottom line is you end up with a good motor, very durable, very quiet, very cool. You don't have the excess heat rolling off of it and all that noise to contend with, okay? All right, so as we begin to move up, and we'll talk about the incline of the deck, we'll also talk about some of the controls as we move on up to the control board here. So another difference between the Adventure 3 and the Adventure 5 versus the length of the deck that we were discussing. This is a 60-inch. Of course, 60 inches is 5 feet, and that's the distance from this point to the back of that deck versus the 3 model to the side, which is about a half a foot shorter. So if you're a long leg person, I'm 5'10", I can see the advantage of having that longer deck for sure. So that may be a consideration depending on what your primary use is and how many users you're going to have. Another advantage that I've noticed over the Adventure 5 versus the 3 is it does have a 7.5-inch display as compared to the 5 or 5.5 on the 3 model. Now the blue, I'm just the blue person. I really like blue. I don't know why, but I like the blue backlit as opposed to the LCD or the green on the other machine. I also like this handlebar across here that has the heart rate sensors or the monitor. It also has a place where you can throw, just more storage. So I have a bottle of water when I come. You can plug in your Android or your iPhone device to the actual system. And what that does is if you want to listen to some music versus having the earbuds in your ear and you're running, you've got all these cords hanging everywhere, and the next thing you know, you've hit the cord and you've thrown your $500 iPod or Apple device down onto the deck and you've just cracked it or something like that. So I think it's definitely a benefit of being able to just plug that device in and play through the speakers. Now, we did some testing on the speakers before we started this video. It's certainly not a Bose surround sound, with a subwoofer system, but for a $1,000 to $1,200-$1,300 machine, both of these models, I was satisfied with the quality of the speakers. So nothing to get overly excited about, but it does have some decent quality sound coming out of there. So if we just get started on this, it's very easy to operate from a user experience. You could step up on the machine. There are 35 preset or custom programs already built in as far as intense workout, cardio, various incline, things like that, versus 30 on the Adventure 3. We'll go ahead and just press start, begin workout, and it'll do its countdown. Now, and I'm not going to crank it up just because I don't want to show you guys how out of shape that I am, but I do like the fact that it has these neat controls right on the bar itself. So if I want to go faster, I don't have to actually reach up, okay? And then the same way, if I want to incline, I can do it right here. Another advantage that I like on both the 3 and the 5 is they both feature these quick keys. Now the quick key is a set of numbers all the way across the screen of the board. The 3 is truly a one-touch operation. The 5, you have to press 2 different buttons, but the advantage is you have a lot more options. You can really focus in to 1 mile an hour, 2 mile an hour. For example, if I want to slow down to 1, I would just press 1 and set speed. And immediately the machine slows down to 1. Also, if I'd like to incline all the way up, I'm not going to go all the way, I'll just hit it. Well, why not? So if I hit 12 and set incline, yeah, so immediately the control system responds, it begins moving that. And of course the benefit, guys, of having this incline is it creates muscle confusion. So you don't want to continue working the same muscles every single day. You want to incline that deck so that you're working the glutes and various portions of the leg and those type areas. All right, so we're going to go back down on this, set incline. One thing to point out, and Rachel mentioned this earlier, on a folding machine, when you do incline, notice my body raises up, but the height of the control bars themselves stay stationary. They do not move. And so my body's actually up a little bit higher than what a comfortable level normally would be. This is a pretty comfortable height for a 5 foot, probably 5'3" to 5'4" person, all the way up to about a 6 foot. But once you incline that deck, and I don't know that it's necessarily a bad thing, but it's certainly something for you guys to consider, the deck raises up and these bars stay level. We'll look at a non-folding machine next on our next video review, and you'll notice that the entire control system rises up with that. So you keep that maximum comfortable level all the time in relation to the height of the equipment versus being at something that's not quite so comfortable. All right, one more thing to point out, and this is a big thing. Let's just go ahead and stop this. So the team at Horizon, they're very committed company-wise to really solving problems that folks like myself and you guys have. We have Apple devices. I use an Android device. I use my FitnessPal, all sorts of connected devices, the wearables that we use. And it's just such a nuisance. I'm trying to lose a few pounds in the love handles is what my wife calls them, but nonetheless, trying to lose a few pounds. And I really like having everything in a common area. So when I'm walking outside and it's beautiful, I'm logging in that workout. When I'm on my machine at home, I'm logging in that workout. When I go to the gym and I work on 3 or 4 different types of equipment, I don't want to have to punch all of this stuff in, right? I just want it up in a cloud somewhere so I can access it whenever I want to. It keeps up with everything for me. It shows me my goals because, let's face it, I'm lazy, okay? And one of the things that the techs and the developers at Horizon have done is they have developed this ViaFit, and it takes a lot to impress me, but I'm really impressed with ViaFit. And what that does is it simply, it's Wi-Fi enabled, so all of your workout is immediately uploaded directly to the cloud. And so whether you're working out on your machine, a different type of device, a wearable, you're walking around outside, you're at the gym, and the gym that perhaps you're at, I don't know, a Gold's Gym or a membership. And one of the neat things that I knew is they call it X Capture, I believe is the terminology. And what X Capture does is once you finish, okay, so let's say it's something that's not ViaFit enabled. So once you finish your workout, you would take your smartphone, snap a picture with your ViaFit app, and it'll actually figure out, the algorithm will see that you've gone 500 calories at 3 miles, and it'll upload that directly to the cloud so that you can access it anytime. So to learn more about ViaFit as well as Passport, and of course Passport, I'll wrap this up quickly, Passport allows you to purchase a separate device and show something on your big screen television, so that if you're tired of just walking and you don't want to, you could pop in your iPad device right here or your tablet. But if you don't want to do that and you prefer to look at, say you want to, I don't know, run down the streets of Italy or something like that, Passport will allow you to do that. And both of these machines are Passport enabled, and so you can project those images not on this screen, but actually onto your television at home. And so we'll do a separate video for you with all of the details of Passport and ViaFit. And to learn more about all of those and additional information, just visit our website at www.treadmill-ratings-reviews.com. Rachel, do you have any questions? You think of anything that I missed? Awesome. Thanks so much for your time, guys. We'll see you next go round.